I want to tell you more about a previously top secret program used for the last several years in many major cities here in the United States. There are a few different elements involved here. We're talking highly technical facial recognition software, closed circuit cameras like the ones you may have seen, in parks or on the sides of buildings, and also former senior intelligence officials to collect information about people by recording them and then encrypting that information and instantaneously delivering it to a central database center to be aggregated with other intelligence and then mined for data by those former top officials, people who used to work for the CIA, the FBI, and other organizations. The secret program is known as TrapWire and was revealed by WikiLeaks. And a short time later, the whistleblowing website experienced what's called distributed denial of service attacks that cut access to the site to a large number of people. Now, the hacktivist group Anonymous put out a video about this, and here's their take.
The software is billed as a method by which to prevent terrorism, but can of course also be used to provide unprecedented surveillance and data mining capabilities to governments, corporations, and other institutions, including many with a history of using new technologies to violate the rights of citizens.
And it was our web team right here at RT that has really been on this story, getting the nuts and bolts out every day. The story is called Stratfor Emails Reveal Secret Widespread TrapWire Surveillance Program. That story then referred to in plenty of other articles in publications like Reason and Salon and Firedog Lake. And so we want to now break it down with web producer Andrew Blake himself. He joins me now in studio. Hey there, Andrew. I know this story seems to have caught a lot of attention since you first reported on it last Friday. I guess just kind of break down some of the important...
Almost like too much attention. Like the way that this story has quickly spiraled out of control in just 3 days is almost like make-believe. But what's actually happening is science fiction, so it kind of makes sense. So we have to back up. 2004, this company releases, Abraxas puts together this thing called TrapWire, and not a lot is known about it right now, and it's still not that way. It's been all weekend where people are trying to dig up information. We don't really know that much, but we do know Abraxas has this program called TrapWire. Then the vice president of intelligence there said it's more sophisticated than any facial recognition program out there, and they can use these cameras to go in and track someone in wherever they're located. And so far, it's the biggest metropolitan cities across the United States.
So we're talking D.C., New York, Las
Chicago,
Vegas.
Los Angeles, Las Vegas. And there's the connections go so much deeper than that, too. But so what they do is they monitor all these video streams. They get sent to a database, an analysis center, and they can go and they can zoom in on someone. They can find out who they are and what they're doing. And they can go back and they say, walk the cat back, and go backwards, go in time. And they can start off with one suspicious activity report and go to see what this person's been doing. And they can find out who these people are, where they're going to go.
So these are not criminals or suspected terrorists.
Well, I mean, that's why it was established. They said that this is here. Abraxas started TrapWire back in 2004 as a response to kind of like 9/11. But it's everywhere. And when I say everywhere, we're just starting to find out really how deep this goes. Because Abraxas is kind of peculiar. Abraxas was acquired by another company based out of San Diego called Cubic. And Cubic got them a few years ago, I think it was 2010, which is like $124 million, which is nothing. TrapWire system, if you have it installed in certain cities, certain states, they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars just to have that going. So Cubic took a hold of Abraxas, in turn getting TrapWire, in turn being able to look at anyone anywhere in these cities. Places like DC, where you can't like swing a dead cat around without hitting something that's considered a critical infrastructure site, whether it's like a Department of Energy satellite office or a DHS hot dog stand or something, where anything around in DC is going to be considered a critical infrastructure site. And all of these cameras in DC, for instance, are hooked up to the DC Metropolitan Police Department, who in turn feeds them to TrapWire. And they have this massive intelligence database, but that's what I'm saying. We really have to see how far back this goes, because Cubic also runs the transportation fare card systems in New York, in DC, in Chicago, and in Los Angeles. So in a place like DC or New York, for example, you have the same company where you give them your credit card and you buy a fare card and you get on the train and you can go anywhere within 20 miles. You give that company your information, and at the same time, they have your face, and they're watching you when you get off that train. They can find you anywhere in the city.
And you were referring just a minute ago to the millions of dollars that this program costs.
Yes.
Where does this money come from? From what I understand, it's often paid for by taxpayers. I know LA Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa was talking about it recently, and here's what he had to say.
We all need to be vigilant and proactive in protecting our city from terrorist threats. With Los Angeles consistently ranking atop the list of terrorist targets, we need your help in keeping watch over our city. iWatch is a community program that partners you with law enforcement officials and provides an easy way to report suspicious behavior and activities.
So Los Angeles is believed to have spent about $1.4 million
That's a lot of money.
on this. Talk a little bit about the money and if taxpayers are even aware that.
I mean, no one was really aware that this was happening until like Thursday, Friday. And the thing is, TrapWire's been around since 2004. And before last week, you can go ahead and you can Google and you can go to TrapWire.com or .net rather and find out all about them. You can find out about Abraxas. But the reason that this is becoming so significant right now is last week, WikiLeaks released a new batch of the Stratford files that Anonymous were able to uncover from the strategic forecasting intelligence company last year. And there's a bunch of communication in there from Stratford kind of touting this program is kind of like the be-all to end-all of Big Brother. Like, this was it. This is how we're going to be able to watch everyone. And that, like, they're talking in, like, internal communication, at least in these emails that are allegedly part of the Stratford attack. They're saying pretty much, you know, we can do anything. At one point, they actually said in DC, our capabilities are increasing every single day. So a lot really isn't known about it, let alone where the money's coming from. We do know that DHS and the DOD have been having some sort of financial ties to them. It's really, you kind of just have to go online and start going to this crazy, like, wormhole of information on TrapWire, and you'll be doing it all day.
So what's the connection, though, with WikiLeaks, you know, having this denial of service?
Okay, well, also, that's one thing that we can only speculate on right now. WikiLeaks is being hit by DDoS attacks for roughly 2 weeks now. And last week, I believe last Wednesday, someone from the WikiLeaks Twitter account said, we don't really know why we're getting hit. We know we're getting hit with upwards of, I believe, 80 gigabits per second worth of traffic attacks.